Hello, my friends, and welcome back.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be taking a look at a clip where a fat activist says fat acceptance is not a cult. We're also going to be taking a look at a bonus clip from this same creator where they're getting upset with their fellow fat activists for losing weight.
Most likely, statistically, it will happen that you will gain weight back.
If you would like to support the channel and become one of my fellow cynics, please consider joining channel memberships. You'll get a badge next to your name, access to custom emojis, as well as top priority in my comment replies. A join button is below, as well as a join link in the description of this video. Before we proceed, please click the like button so that I may apply comb to mustache.
I had to stop blow drying my hair because, seriously, this part. Just take a moment to read it.
Okay, she's going to be responding to this comment that reads, which sounds like more of a cult, helping people find there's more to life than their body size, or making every moment about the superiority of medically starving to change your body size. I don't know, is that how we're referring to weight loss now? You didn't lose weight, you kept talking about the superiority of medically starving your body. Okay.
Okay. Literally, what sounds more like a cult? A bunch of people who are like, wow, we have been convinced that the biggest war we should be having is with ourselves, and that our bodies are not good enough for us to get general access to healthcare, general access to clothing, general access to sitting comfortably on airplanes, booths, etc.
Yeah, that does sound like a cult. You need to convince the members of the cult that everybody in the outside world is against you, and the only way to salvation is through us. We also need to isolate them from the outside world, control their social media. Don't follow anybody that loses weight.
And they're saying that that sounds like a cult. Okay, so then the reverse, right, is when fat people.
Fats. I love when they refer to themselves that way. Chats with the fats or chats for the fats. I, a fat, will tell you more. Can you imagine doing that with any other arbitrary identifier of your physical form? Like I, a brown, like referring to my brown eyes or something. I, a mustache, think that this topic, yada yada yada. It just speaks volumes to the mentality of somebody when they will literally call themselves a fat. I have no other discernible characteristics, no personality.
Lose weight or start an intentional weight loss journey, then they fully are consumed with fatphobic rhetoric of this idea that to be thin is the best way to live life.
I don't know. I don't think so. You don't have to become all obsessive and weird just because you want to lose weight. You don't have to be like, the only way to live is to be thin, and I'll do whatever it takes to get it. That's just as obsessive and weird as the fat acceptance rhetoric of, oh my god, don't ever try to lose weight, otherwise there's something wrong with you. Both extremes are dumb.
And that being thin resolves all health issues.
It resolves a lot. Being obese is insanely bad for you.
And that, you know, we should all be striving to lose weight. And the idea of consistently controlling every single thing you put in your mouth and every single thing your body does, and then weighing yourself every day.
The idea of controlling every single thing you put in your mouth, why are you acting like that's ridiculous to control every single thing that you put in your mouth? You know, a lot of stuff is just straight up poison, right? Like the things that you put in your mouth will be digested and go into your body, and they could be potentially dangerous. So yeah, I think it would be a good idea to pay attention to every single thing that you put in your mouth. Choose to masticate and digest. I love how they said that like it's ridiculous. You can't keep track of everything that goes in your mouth. Sometimes a toothpick just works its way. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Just sit around thinking about what goes into this mouth hole all day? Like, I know it's very time consuming to pay attention and look at the thing in your hand as it comes towards your mouth and decide whether or not it should go in. Like,
Tracking your weight every day.
it's okay if you want to weigh yourself every day, but you don't have to. While we're on this topic, I want to be very clear. I am not trying to encourage any of you to go into disordered thought patterns or disordered eating patterns. I have a way with words where I speak very bluntly, and it can come off crazy sometimes when I'm like, oh, don't eat that, that's garbage. Like, some people take me saying that, and they're like, what? That is garbage? That is complete garbage? Like, some people just take it a little bit too far. I was reading some forums for people that have restrictive EDs, and I saw them mention my name a few times and how, like, I don't know, but a lot of people are taking my content the wrong kind of way and using it to go harm themselves. Please, for the love of God, don't do that. Okay, I speak very bluntly about food and stuff. I'm not saying you need to obsess about it. I'm not saying that you're less than or anything like that. If you're overweight, I'm not judging you or saying that you're less of a person for that. I want to help people achieve their health goals in a healthy manner by eating plenty of healthy food to get there, not by restricting ourselves or doing anything in an unhealthy way. So please, for the love of God, do not watch my content and think that I'm some kind of psychopath, judgmental jerk who would judge you for having a little bit of sugar in your coffee or whatever. That is not the case, dude. Sorry, that had nothing to do with this video. I was just reminded of it.
That sounds like that sounds like kind of bad for your health. I don't know, like I'm just like concerned about your health.
Okay, well, I wish you would stop. Okay, so a quick Google search for signs of a cult tells us that 4 of the signs of a cult are absolute authoritarianism without accountability, 0 tolerance for criticism or questions, lack of meaningful financial disclosure regarding budget. You guys want to know where all those donations are going? Shut up. Shut up. That's where they're going, okay? Unreasonable fears about the outside world that often involve evil conspiracies and persecutions. Right, so you guys have created a boogeyman, diet culture, the systemic yada 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 blah blah blah, and you convince all of your followers that the only way to be free from this systemic oppression and yada 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 is to join your movement. And then you isolate them from the outside world. Don't follow anybody except other large creators and creators that are larger than yourself. Cut off your family. My fat phobic mother said that maybe I shouldn't eat that. Now we're going to take a look at a bonus clip from the same creator where they're getting angry at their fellow fat activists for losing weight and then crapping all over the fat acceptance community.
Okay, so is it time for us to have a conversation yet about what's happening in the fat community?
I think it is.
What do you think, Max?
He looks fairly terrified. I love how you have this like smile or smirk on your face right there on the right, and then his face is just like complete terror. He's like, I don't know. We've had this conversation quite a few times already.
This is a yes.
I don't think you know how to read the room.
So we have, of course, seen a large uptick, pun intended, of fat creators now posting about their intentional weight loss and really like hyping up Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, and other mechanisms, and also just like, I guess, natural intentional weight loss.
Dude, I like to do some Ozempic, Mounjaro, and Wegovy all at the same time. I go to the doctor, I'm like, dude, I'm really ready to party. Hit me with the triple. They're like, what? We can't do that. It's never been done. That's too much. And I'm like, hit me with the triple. I'll tell you when I've had enough. Give me the semi-glutide. Like, but sir, you'll overdose. Wegovy, Ozempic, Mounjaro all at the same time? It can't be done. Right here. Right here. Go. Hit me with it. Hit me with it. I'm gonna be hot. I'm gonna be so hot that it's stupid. People are gonna see me like, ah, God, he's so hot. This is ludicrous. This is just straight up offensive at this point. How attractive this man is. Sorry, I'm getting completely insane.
Here's the thing. The problem is not the weight loss, although, of course, there can be lots of frustrating feelings regarding weight loss.
There can be lots of frustrating feelings regarding weight loss. Yeah, it is frustrating when we see other people accomplish the thing that we've been trying to. There could literally be no other reason why you'd be frustrated with somebody else's weight loss, you know? You got a little bit of bitterness going on there, perhaps some jealousy. Imagine if this were a different statement. It could definitely be frustrating seeing Mark get a promotion at work. What? Why? Are you butthurt? Did you want that promotion? That's all that could mean, bro. We don't have to let the whole world know how bitter we are. Like I'm always saying, like you could just keep that inside. Everybody doesn't need to know how much of a nutcase I am. We can keep some of our neurosis to ourselves. Let it be a surprise later on when we get with somebody, right? Then you spring all your crazy crap on them. You don't need to tell the whole world.
The problem is when you are on an intentional weight loss journey and then you also intentionally on the fat community at the same time. So
But what if you are losing weight and you're like, wow, I was dumb and that was a dumb community, so now I'm going to crap on it. Can't believe I did that. Let's warn everybody else so they don't join this stupid movement too, maybe.
So here's the thing. Number one, you can go on an intentional weight loss journey.
I disagree. I don't think it should even be allowed.
Without then talking about the fat community, especially for those of you whose platforms were built by the plus size community.
If somebody built a platform on the plus size community and you guys were all just following them because they were plus size, that's your own fault. You're like, hey, you look like me, I'm gonna follow you. You didn't consider that person to be a human being or an individual at all. You just considered them to be fat, which is why you were following them. And now that they're no longer fat, you don't like them. So it wasn't them that you enjoyed to begin with. It was just the way their body looked. 90% of these people that became some sort of fat acceptance pillar or whatever weren't even trying to. They're just making videos like, oh, here's all the struggles I had as a plus size person trying to put on a towel. And then they do all this other stuff related to that. And then a bunch of larger people start watching their content. And then they get butthurt when that person tries to lose weight. But that person was never going online to begin with as some sort of fat activist. They were just somebody that was larger and you identified with it. Maybe if you were a little less superficial and you saw people as individuals instead of just their body type, you wouldn't be as disappointed when they lost the weight. Jan has plenty of value other than the size of her body, okay? Imagine if I started looking up to somebody just because they had a mustache, and then I get all butthurt when one day they decide to shave that mustache. They don't even know I exist, and their lives did not revolve around mustachedness. Losers. It should have.
And those brand deals you got were also from partnerships with plus size companies and
Yeah. We all like to make money, huh?
size expansions and other things of that sort. So you can do that without then calling the fat acceptance community and fat liberation a cult.
Okay, man, I have to know specifically who she's talking about. I feel like I have done you guys a disservice and not gotten the full story here, right? She's clearly referencing somebody that used to be a fat activist or part of the community that lost weight, and now they're calling it a cult. So once we leave the cult, we're never allowed to tell the rest of the world that it was a cult. Gotcha.
It's also just not very original, this is number 2, to spew anti-fat bias in ways by like saying the fat acceptance community is a cult.
I don't see that as anti-fat bias. Yeah, see, this is giving even more culty vibes. If you think that fat acceptance is foolish, then you're spewing anti-fat bias, as if your movement represents everybody living in a larger body all across the board. See, now you're sounding even more cult-like.
Or saying that, like, you gotta watch your health. Like, all the things that fat phobia has taught us, like, get an original argument, at least, is
You get an original argument. You're sitting here spewing all this nonsense about fat phobia and yada 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 that we've all heard 1,000 times. That's ironic.
all I'm, like, hoping you'll do in the meantime. And the third piece here is that I have seen a lot of these fat creators who are on an intentional weight loss journey then kind of, like, saying, like, people are mad at me and people hate me because I'm losing weight. And it's like, let's not conflate the feelings here.
Well, it is because they're losing weight. It's not just because they said something mean about fat acceptance.
So yes, there probably is a group of people who are upset at you and angry at you because you are now spewing the fat phobic diet rhetoric that they were trying to escape.
Well, you know, you can only be a fat liberationist for so long before your health starts to catch up with you. And at a certain point, people want to be part of your community and they don't want to be ostracized or judged or kicked out or whatever, but they literally have to start taking their health seriously. I don't know why we keep playing this game like this stuff isn't dangerous, dude. When you start to get into your 30s and or 40s, if some of these people make it to that age, all of your medical conditions just start hitting you like a freight train. At a certain point, your health becomes such an issue that you can no longer ignore it. A pattern that you'll notice within this community a lot is when people start to get to like 30 or 40, if they're like in the upper end of the fat acceptance spectrum or whatever, they're going to start taking their health more seriously. When you're younger, you're like, yeah, I went to the doctor and I told him, shut up, you're not weighing me, blah, 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 blah. But a couple years pass by, you go to the doctor and you're like, doctor, I can't breathe. There's all this crazy crap going on. What can I do? And at this point, the doctor's like, now you're listening, huh? I bet. At a certain point, you start to realize, like, wait a minute, this is really killing me. And then you start turning it around, and then you start getting attacked by your fellow fat activists for trying to save your own life. You've changed, man. I thought I knew you. Like, bro, I'm literally on death's door, okay? I used to think the doctor was joking around back when I was in my 20s, but then once I got to my 30s and I started really feeling the impact of all this weight, I started listening to him. This all just proves that fat acceptance and its ideology has a lifespan.
But also, mostly people are upset with you that instead of just losing weight and doing that whole thing and not on fat people, you chose to do both of those things.
Well, they're probably trying to warn everybody not to join this movement because it almost took their life. I don't know who we're talking about right here, but just in general.
Lose weight and then denounce the fat community. That is what we're angry about. We're
Right, you're angry about a lot of dumb stuff.
angry that you then shat upon us all.
Shut upon us all, madam. Well, you didn't have to get all regal on me. You know what? You're all right.
The fat community. Again, not original. Again, try something new. Again, you do not have to do those things. You do not have to start spewing anti-fat biases.
Biases. I just died in your arms tonight. You do not have to start spewing anti-fat biases.
And the final thing I want to say, let me get into some theory here, okay? There is a communication studies theory. It's called in-group and out-group. And when you are a part of the out-group, aka in this situation, a fat person in a fat-phobic society.
Right, we haven't established that society is fat-phobic, so you can stop referencing it like it's a well-established fact.
Once you have a little taste of the power and privilege you can get when you become a part of the in-group, for this instance, thin privilege.
It's not thin privilege if you can walk now because you put in the effort and the self-control to lose the weight. It's not privilege if you pass the test that you studied for. That's just called using your brain.
You then make sure to show that you are different from the out-group that you once belonged to, usually by on that group, right?
Or sometimes we realize that we were wrong and what we were doing previously was foolish. There's this concept that an adult can admit that they were wrong and change from now on. Is that not a concept that other people are familiar with when you're like, oh man, I was wrong. I should go warn the others. Like what? And this is why people say that fat acceptance is a cult. The way that you're framing it, like you were part of this group and now you're outside the group and you're critiquing the group, is not at all accurate.
Right? And denouncing them and saying like, I'm not like one of those fatties. I'm currently losing weight.
I love it when she does her regal voice. I'm currently losing weight. I'm not like one of those roustabouts. Those ruffians, vagabonds, shrinking my body. I'm not like the rest of these fatties. I'm shrinking my body. The posh voice, you have to put your upper teeth out like, what are you talking about? Sorry, guys, sorry.
Can you see my collarbone?
If you weren't so riddled with personal issues, you would be funny.
Okay, so you get that taste of privilege, that taste of power.
Power? When I lost weight, now all of a sudden I got power. Well, you need to tell the rest of the world because nobody's listening. I tried pushing some kid around at the gas station. He just laughed at me. You there, hand me those supplies. I need them. What? No, who the hell are you? I lost weight, you moron. Oh, well, in that case, right away, sir. Here you go, the whole world. Whatever you want. You're the boss now. How much power do thin people get when they lose weight? And do they all get an equal amount of power? So now this world is just being run by thin people that are just fighting for the top position. How do we climb the ranks and get to the top of that hierarchy? Do we have to be the thinnest? These are just jokes. Don't try to be the thinnest, anybody.
And you're like, how do I keep getting it? So I do have sympathy for you. That is a delicious feeling to have power.
What power? That is the dumbest statement that I've ever heard, and she kind of has a smirk on her face right now. I see somewhat of a smirk right here. Do you believe any of this stuff that you're saying, or is this whole thing just like a satirical character that you're gonna play for several years? I do have a delicious feeling of power. Once I lost weight, then I took control of the entire system. Now I've finally got control of the systemic yada yada yada.
And also, I'll remind you of what it is like to be fat in this world, in this society, specifically in the US. And I'll remind you that you only have a small taste of thin privilege. And if you continue to stay plus size, even while losing weight, you will never have all of the thin privilege that being thin gives you.
Okay, so you've just completely lost touch with reality. You think that the thinner you get, the more privilege you get, and if you're still a little chubby when you start losing weight, then you're not going to get the full scope of the privilege. Like, it sounds like this thin privilege thing doesn't exist.
So you will still be oppressed by the power dynamic.
What are you talking about? Who's oppressing you, bro? It looks like you're living in a nice little apartment there and you make these TikToks on the regular. It doesn't seem like you're living under an oppressive regime. I see some of those fake little, like, vines and crap you got hanging on the wall there. I'm not getting a whole lot of oppression vibes from your whole situation here. We're complaining every single day in video format to TikTok. I don't know. I'm not getting oppression from this.
And if you do happen to gain weight, or if you do happen to have this moment where your pendulum comes back to a more steady middle ground, the fact...
What pendulum? Why would I just gain weight randomly? Unless I started eating differently. It's so bizarre to not connect the things that you put in your mouth and eat to your body weight. To disconnect those two things is complete insanity to me.
Community will remember. We will. And most likely, statistically, it will happen that you will gain weight back.
Okay, so you want them to gain it back? And then you'll be waiting there and you'll be like, see? I told you. If I couldn't do it, nobody could do it. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but lots of people have lost the weight and kept it off, including myself. I lost weight in 2017. I haven't gone back to eating the way that I used to eat, so there's a 0% chance that I'm going to gain any of this weight back. You understand that, right? The food that you eat controls your weight.
This is like the science part of the conversation. So anyways.
No. This is like the bitter emotional part of the conversation. Science is calories in, calories out. The balance of energy. That is science. There's no emotions involved in it.
You don't need to turn your back on the communities that you belong to. Just a reminder.
Well, when you no longer align with their core values, it's fine to leave the community that was trying to drag you down to begin with.
You don't have to do it.
And that's the end of that. So at the end there, she says it's fine if you want to lose weight, but don't start crapping on the fat community, and you will gain it back. Whatever gets you to bed at night, man. If you think that everybody's going to gain the weight back or whatever. I disagree. I think if you make positive changes to your lifestyle, it's impossible to gain it back because you're not eating like that anymore. So what do you think of the clips that we just saw? Is fat acceptance a cult? And is it problematic when people that were previously part of the fat acceptance movement decide to leave? Leave a comment below. Personally, I think that fat acceptance does show a lot of the warning signs of a cult. They make you afraid of the outside world, they paint everybody else as the enemy, and if you lose weight, you'll no longer be part of our community. Happy Monday, everybody. Anyway, that about does it. Thanks for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one.